Harry's childhood sweetheart is back in town. As the contract wife, I've decided to step aside. I handed him the divorce papers, but Harry just tore them into pieces and said, "I'm not divorcing." I tried to persuade him, but he just mumbled, "Still the same ungrateful person as last lifetime." Wait, what? We had agreed that when the time came, we'd go our separate ways peacefully. Why is he bringing up past lives now? When Selena sent me a picture of Gloria at the airport, I almost shattered the glass Harry had gifted me. Gloria, the childhood sweetheart Harry has never forgotten. She's back, and I knew I had to take care of a few things. Harry and I got married by contract, each getting what we needed. A year ago, I graduated college with practically nothing. Harry was thriving in business, but the pressure to marry was intense. We ran into each other at the university's restroom entrance. He offered a good deal, needing help urgently, and I, with decent acting chops, was in for the money. We agreed to part ways when the time was right. Harry and Gloria, everyone knew about them, including me. I was just a little late to the game, so I missed witnessing their romance firsthand. During the year of marriage with Harry, I brought up divorce twice. Both times, Harry shot it down. Today, after making an appointment with his secretary, I went to see him in the office. I cut to the chase, "I'm here to divorce you." Harry casually flipped through the divorce agreement, glanced at it, and then asked, "Did Henry help you draft this?" I was annoyed. "How did you know?" "Henry, my college friend, specializes in marriage law. Of course, I'm one of his loyal clients. The company recently collaborated with his firm, so your connection wasn't hard to figure out." Harry leisurely sipped his tea. "More professional than the last two drafts," he commented. "Harry, you're missing the point," I said with a forced smile, flipped to the signature page, and pointed with my manicured nails. "Here, this is where you sign." "My hand's numb, can't sign." He tossed the pen and rubbed his hand. I was kind of impatient and offered, "No worries, I got you." Then, I took his hand and used a bit of acupressure on it like I learned a long time ago. As I massaged, his intense gaze focused on me, making me uneasy. "Karina." "Yes?" Being called out suddenly, I pressed too hard, and Harry winced. "What's the reason for this divorce?" he asked. "I come home on time, eat all my meals, I haven't upset you lately." I confessed, "You might not be aware since you're busy with work, but Gloria landed at 7:15 this morning and she's already home." Harry nodded, "And?" "Miss Gloria's back. Don't you want to go see her?" Harry pretended not to understand, "So why the divorce?" "She's back, so I'm stepping aside." "Oh," Harry said after a pause. "Karina, do you really think so little of me?" His question threw me off. There's no way I could look down on him. "No, I just thought you'd want to be free to pursue her. I don't want to stand in the way of true love." "That's true. Marriage is a big deal, something to seriously consider." "Exactly. How about this, let me get back to you when I have the time." "What?" I was shocked and confused, and looked at Harry. Everything seemed normal except for the words coming out of his mouth that sounded all wrong. He slowly got up, adjusted his designer suit, then turned and tossed the agreement into the shredder. What a flare! In just a blink, the divorce papers were shredded to bits. My money. Henry and I have a clear accounting relationship, even if we are close classmates. He noticed my expression and said, "Don't worry about the money. I'll send you a red envelope to compensate." With that settled, I decided to drop the subject for now. Harry has this habit of sending me red envelopes all the time, probably because he has too much money to spend. Who said I was worried? I'm just making faces for my facial nerves. His knowing act, is that so? Well, in his eyes, I've been pegged as a money grubber long ago. No need to be embarrassed. Spending more time with you today, Harry casually slung an arm around my waist. Let's head home. Which home? Did you move your stuff out again? His eyebrows furrowed at that. Having done it before, I forced an awkward smile. Nope, still there. Hearing that, Harry tightened his grip around my waist, giving his reprimand. Under the watchful eyes of the office, Harry held my waist while I clutched his arm. We seemed to have agreed to play it this way, smiles on our faces and tender looks in our eyes. Despite not being the first time for such closeness, whenever his warm hand touched my waist, I couldn't help feeling nervous, zoning out for a bit. But it's a public company setting. We had to maintain the image. Look at them, such a cute couple. So envious. The wife is so pretty, like a goddess, and Harry is so handsome. They must be so happy. The real-life bossy CEO and his lovely young wife story. It's like characters straight out of a novel. Love it. Her skin looks so flawless. As a woman, I'm swooning over her. Keep it down, people. We're not that far away. We can hear you. A 6-year gap husband and young wife? Not bad, lucky them. I mean, I really was elected as our university department's beauty queen back in college, not a lie. Suddenly, Harry leaned in close. In those brief 30 seconds of zoning out, I was either imagining going home with him or fantasizing about how many guys I'd date post-divorce. 7. He pinched my waist. Snap. I realized something was off. Harry, as a bossy CEO, how could you joke around like that? He raised his eyebrows, suddenly wearing a stern look, one for each day, no weekends off. Think you can handle that? His smile was anything but pleasant, totally sarcastic. Saying more would make it worse, so I quickly explained, just kidding, not 7, just you. HMPF, I know you too well. Harry has seen me like this so often that he's used to it. He didn't bother arguing with me about it again. I thought the whole thing was over. But after my 3rd time bringing up divorce, Harry went silent and made a big move. After drying my hair in the bathroom, I came back to find him sitting on my bed, freshly showered with his hair still dripping. Before I could ask, he waved the hairdryer at me and said, "Come here, help me dry my hair. Your husband is gonna catch a cold." I couldn't help but laugh. Harry, do you remember your domineering CEO persona? The hairdryer hummed with warm air, and Harry's hair was smooth, dark, and just a little long, felt nice. As I dried his hair, I noticed the pillow he brought along. Confused, I asked, "Are you sure you're in the right room tonight?" Nope. The contract didn't say we couldn't share a bed. Before, you thought we weren't close, so I respected that. But now, I think we're quite familiar with each other. Then it was my brain that stopped working. Are you joking? Harry took the hairdryer from my hand and turned it off. The room fell into a sudden silence. Harry was more serious than ever. Karina, what are we to each other? We have a contractual relationship. Say it again, he insisted. A pretend couple. Suddenly, Harry grabbed my chin and kissed me. The scent of his icy lemon toothpaste invaded my senses, taking away my steady breath. Harry's kissing skills had gotten pretty good. I'm a total novice at this, so he had all the control. As the kiss went on, he put the hairdryer aside and pulled me into an embrace. He was sitting, looking up, while I stood, looking down, surprisingly harmonious. He let me go after a while. I looked down, seriously observing the person in front of me. Was this the same Harry who kissed me so fiercely just now? His actions were anything but gentlemanly or gentle, almost like he was giving me a strong warning. So, what are we? He grabbed both my hands and asked forcefully, unsatisfied until I answered. I was still a bit stunned, but from his expression, I kinda guessed what he wanted me to say. Nervously, I replied, husband and wife? Harry smiled and nodded, losing all his domineering demeanor. Yeah, don't get it wrong next time. Karina, get some rest. Did his cold demeanor just turn into a happy face? Although we'd been close before, today there was no one else around. The key point was that I didn't even think about refusing. Everything's a mess now, totally jumbled. I glanced at the large 2-meter bed, woodenly took off my shoes, lifted the covers, lay down, and stared at the ceiling. Before tonight, we'd shared a bed once. It was when my friend Candy had a breakup and dragged me to a bar to drink it off. Half the night went by, she was energized, and I got drunk like crazy. Apparently, I publicly dragged Harry into a dance when he came to pick me up and even refused to leave his room. The next morning, Harry's dark circles could rival an Olympic mascot, making me grateful that Harry was tolerant enough not to off me in my sleep. Since then, no alcohol has appeared at home. Harry being disciplined and monk-like, it wasn't a worry he'd take advantage of me. It's me who's the one with the self-control issue. Lying stiffly on the bed, the white overhead light shone brightly and purely, just like on our wedding night. A strange sadness and a wave of confusion hit me hard. Without realizing it, I've been his wife for a year now. I first met Harry at City A University. It was one of those dramatic encounters. June 5th was my graduation show day, and I ran into Harry in the bathroom hallway. He was standing there, leaning against the wall, clutching his belly, pale as ever. Luckily I was there. I didn't know this Harry from City B, I just thought he was a stranger in distress. Seeing his bad shape, I asked, out of basic decency, "Sir, are you okay?" At the sound of my voice, Harry just stared at me, pale and speechless. After a while, he said, "My phone's dead. Could you help me get to a hospital?" He looked at me blankly for a moment before speaking. I waved my hand, and he then replied, "I'd appreciate it." Getting him to the hospital in time, his acute gastroenteritis got treated. From then on, we got to know each other better. Harry was a good guy, and I didn't mind him. So when he suggested taking me home to meet his grandpa for a contract marriage, I agreed. I thought, why not get a stable life and some payment out of it? Looking back now, the decision to jump into marriage was a bit rash. The wedding was lavish, from drinks to the dress to the venue. He gave me the best of City B. I topped the list of girls most disliked in City B overnight for snagging their dream guy. I wondered if Harry had planned the extravagant wedding just for Gloria to see. It was all so over the top. He didn't consult me, and though I hadn't told him, the wedding details, down to the dress design and party favors, were exactly what I wanted. It got me curious how he knew me so well. Even though the contract was clear, when the time comes, we would go our separate ways. So we each hid our feelings, and under perfect teamwork, the marriage smoothly sailed on till today. It's been a dreamlike journey, landing unexpectedly on my shoulders. Harry's maturity and steadiness go hand in hand with his age, holding a kind of masculine charm I always admired. He's reserved outside, gentle inside. To say I've never been moved by him would be a lie. I've never told anyone, but the first time I laid eyes on Harry, my heart skipped uncontrollably. It's something hard to describe, not quite love at first sight, rather like a timeless connection, an irresistible pull encouraging me to get to know him. That's when it all started with "Sir, do you need any help?" After getting married, I've often found myself lost in Harry's thoughtful nature. If it weren't for that contract, I would have thought our marriage was genuine. I first heard about Gloria just a few days after our marriage, from Selena. Selena and we've been friends for a while. He's from the same city as Harry, B-Town, and they're the same age. I'm younger and not from around there, plus Harry's family has a strong PR team, so I didn't know about the romantic tales they always talked about. Back then, the tabloids in B-Town dedicated a whole page detailing the story of Harry and Gloria growing up together. Everyone thought they were the perfect couple and you'd often see photos of them together. Then Gloria was sent abroad, and their relationship ended without a conclusion. Harry threw himself into work, non-stop, single till now. His grandpa introduced him to several potential matches, but he turned them all down. Everyone said he was waiting for Gloria to come back. Karina, how could you marry him without knowing the full story? What did he gain by marrying you? Did he like you, love you? Karina, stay clear-headed. He married you just to satisfy his grandpa. No one knows the details of our contract marriage. It was after this that I snuffed out any unrealistic fantasies about us and remained purely professional during our interactions, putting on a perfect show without falling in love. Twice, though, I couldn't resist his charm and fell for him. First was on a rainy day when I was out to discuss a comic collaboration. I was suddenly struck by terrible period pains. I was in too much pain to walk, and out of a slim hope, I called Harry, who was in a meeting. The call connected almost instantly. He asked where I was, and next thing I knew, I woke up in our bed. He was there, by my side, giving me sips of brown sugar water. I lost it then, sobbing in his arms. It felt so good to have someone care for me. The second time was when my comic was being bashed as plagiarized, and I was about to be driven out of the industry. Harry somehow found out and used his personal PR team to handle the situation, found the rumor monger, and even vouched for me with his company. I was grateful but knew it was thanks to my title as his wife. I was worried my feelings for Harry would spiral out of control, so I wanted to divorce him to end our contract. But Harry disagreed. He said the time wasn't right, that his grandpa wasn't well and couldn't handle the turmoil. Maybe deep inside, I hoped for something. Maybe my childhood fear of abandonment made me reluctant to leave the warmth Harry gave me. And so, I stumbled through a year. When Gloria returned, insecurity crept in. I thought it'd be better if I ended it all first. Yet, turns out, there's still a pang in my heart. I couldn't leave Harry, nor dare to get too close. The bed dipped as Harry switched off the main light, leaving just a dim crescent lamp glowing by the bedside. We lay there, not breaking the silence. I was nervous and a bit shameful in my anticipation. Overestimated my own heart. I glimpsed Harry watching me from the corner of my eye, quiet, not speaking. I sensed he felt the same, a bit low. "Karina, do you have someone else?" A sudden question like a bolt from the blue. "No way, I swear on my beauty," raising my hand to swear, he gently pushed it down. "Then why did you mention divorce?" "Because of Gloria. There's nothing between us." He waited patiently for my answer. "Not entirely, it's just I don't feel secure giving my heart to anyone." Under his intense gaze, I chose honesty. Gloria's back. Our contract said when the time comes, we'd go our separate ways. Isn't now the time? Maybe he caught a chill as his voice was a bit hoarse. "Karina, this isn't our agreed time. Gloria and I have no such thing, it's all media fabrication." Harry switched tone. "Earlier, you responded when I kissed you." I subconsciously licked my lips. "Really?" "Yeah, maybe my feelings for you just burst out." Harry rested his head on my collarbone, closing his eyes, speaking softly. "Can I just hold you while I sleep? I'm tired today." Faced with occasionally gentle Harry, I couldn't refuse and agreed. His arm draped over my abdomen, and he soon fell asleep, his breath even, his expression relaxed. His sleeping face stirred my heart, and I turned too, drifting off. "Karina." Harry suddenly jerked as if dreaming of falling off a chair. I've done that before, so I gently patted his shoulder. "I'm here." Harry clung to me in his sleep, like a child seeking security. Only when unnoticed, do I dare intertwine our fingers, indulging in a fantasy of holding hands. Sleepiness and warmth swept over me, and in that haze, Harry's words murmured in and out of my ear, his logic scattered, like dream talk. Something about the abbot. Harry's a Buddhist, I knew that, but hadn't heard of any abbot. Disconnected, nonsense, I didn't get it. Though, grateful for the abbot for not letting go, promising not to let go myself. Later, I vaguely heard Harry mumble something, but I was being pulled into sleep by Mr. Sandman. Visiting Grandpa at the old house on Friday nights was routine. Harry's grandpa cared for me much like my own grandpa did, and I felt a long-missed familial bond with him. The old house was perched midway up Emo Mountain, only the rich could afford such retirement. I still remember the first time I went with Harry. I was almost shocked, lying here to enjoy the rest of my life. After walking a bit, Harry slowed down and looked at me with a smile on his face. I didn't get it. What are you laughing at? I don't know why, but every time I bring you home, it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. My face turned red, and I looked away. Harry has been really sweet lately. Karina's here. Grandpa's voice boomed, his face all kind and gentle. Seeing me, he completely ignored his actual grandson. Honestly, I have no idea why Grandpa likes me so much. Before meeting Harry's family, I did some online digging. They said he had a fiery temper and strict standards. He doesn't take to many people, even notables among high society. I was freaking out. I'm just an ordinary, useless college grad. How could I compare with all those rich, sophisticated ladies? I told Harry before meeting them that if I got the boot, I wouldn't take any responsibility. We'd stick to the agreement. But half an hour after meeting Grandpa, I found him surprisingly easygoing, not strict at all. He said, "No wonder you're the girl my grandson treasures." Good, good. I passed the test. Before we left, Grandpa handed me a bracelet that belonged to Grandma. Harry said it might be because I have a likable face that seniors warm up to. I checked myself in the mirror, big doe eyes, fresh skin, a round face with zero aggression. Yeah, kinda likable. I quickly went over and supported Grandpa like the most well-behaved granddaughter. How have you been feeling, Grandpa? Taking your meds on time? Sneaking any booze? Oh, I haven't touched a drop, and I feel great. Karina, let's continue our chat from last time. Sure. In a flash, I felt like I was seeing my own grandpa. He was just as chatty, eyes full of love for the younger generation. Harry got the slippers ready, and I habitually thanked him. He frowned, displeased. If you're that polite, aren't you gonna make Grandpa suspicious? I messed up. Let's try again. Quickly, I changed my tone and chimed in sweetly, "Thanks, honey, you're the best." Never judge a book by its cover. Harry has unexpected preferences. Harry enveloped my shoulders, eyes brimming with affection. Better than those 7 wild men, huh? Thankfully, Grandpa was in the kitchen chatting with Auntie, leaving just us in the living room. Safer, I kept a distance. It's been days, and you're still stuck on that. He adjusted his jacket corners. Well, 7 is a lot, right, miss? His playful tone never fails to take advantage. Harry is full of witty quips. What did you just call me? Got used to it, thought I could slide by, but Harry's thoroughness caught me. I pursed my lips, ready to test the waters. Harry? No response. Honey? I'm here. At the dinner table, with a feast in front of me, I dug in. The dishes at the old house are like food dreams come true for me. Karina, slow down. Auntie made everything you like. Grandpa directed Harry to fill my bowl, packing it full. Happiness overflowed. Save some room, there's soup in the pot. Got it. With Grandpa in a good mood, I seized the chance to ask about the master while Harry grabbed soup. Since that night, Harry's basically moved into my room. Because of this, I discovered his habit of talking in his sleep. He'd always mention something about a temple's abbot. You mean the abbot at Jing'an Temple, right? This goes back to when Harry was in 10th grade. He fell seriously ill, crying and screaming in bone-aching pain, spouting nonsense. I took him to the hospital for checkups, but the results showed he was fine. I figured it might be some wind illness, so I took him to the most renowned Jing'an Temple to see Abbot Pu Ci. The abbot and Harry talked for a long time. Amazingly, within 3 days, Harry was energetic again. But his personality changed, from lively and sociable to cold and distant, rarely interacting with peers. So that's why there's a small Buddha statue in Harry's home. Grandpa, don't laugh, but I was worried Harry had some lingering illness, causing him to avoid relationships and girls. I secretly tried setting him up a few times. Until one day, he came rushing home saying he found the girl he wanted to spend his life with. I was relieved. Since marrying you, Harry's personality changed a lot. He even jokes with me now. Yeah, he can even do impersonations. With the topic over, Harry returned with soup. Thank goodness he met the abbot, I never got that chance. On the way home, I pondered Grandpa's words, curious. Harry, I talked to Grandpa about your illness in 10th grade. Was Abbot Pooh's CI really that incredible? The abbot trained for many years, a heart pure as gold. He solved my problems, owed him a big debt. Harry's past hadn't been mentioned to me before. Grandpa's talk triggered a memory of my own. Well, what a coincidence. When I was in high school, Grandpa also took me to Jing'an Temple. Unfortunately, the abbot was out when we went. You went to pray too? No, to meet the abbot specifically. You're not gonna believe this, but back then, I kept having nightmares. I'd dream about a girl jumping off a building, and it was gruesome, all bloody. Ugh. Harry suddenly slammed on the brakes. I was thrown forward, and my mind went blank from the shock. I thought we'd hit something, but when I looked up, the road was empty. No cars at all. Then I glanced at Harry. His hand gripping the steering wheel looked tense, veins popping, fingers tightly wrapped around it. Something was definitely off. I gently tapped his hand. Harry, what's wrong? He rested his hand on his forehead and leaned back into the seat for a moment. I just saw white for a second there. Scared you, huh? Sorry about that, Karina. Yeah, you did scare me, Harry. If your eyes are bothering you, should we visit the hospital? It's nothing. He shook his head, though he seemed more curious about my dreams. Karina, do you still dream about that girl? Strangely enough, ever since we got married, she hasn't shown up in my dreams. That's good then. Harry seemed to bounce back, and we continued driving. At every red light, I'd share a bit more of the story. The first time I dreamed of her was in my sophomore year. I was stressed about school, often had nightmares, and just wasn't in a good place. My grandpa took me to this famous abbot in Jing'an Temple, known for interpreting dreams, so we went to City A. The dream was always the same. In this foggy dreamscape, I was just a bystander. Everyone's face was blurry, the main characters were 3 people, and they didn't have names. I only remembered their voices. It was like some soap opera where twin sisters fight over a guy. The girl in the dream was the older sister. She was deceived by her sister and brother-in-law, losing everything. When the truth came out, she was devastated, even losing her only child. Though it was a dream, it felt so real, like I could somehow relate. As an observer, I watched the girl laugh, cry, argue, and eventually break down to the point where she jumped off a building. Every dream ended the same, with that vivid image of blood splattering from a height. And then one dream was even stranger, where after she jumped, a boy cried his eyes out and jumped too. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Good thing it was just a dream. I've woken up freaked out so many times, even tried different calming meds, but nothing really worked. Funny thing is, ever since Harry and I started living together, she stopped appearing in my dreams. Guess he has a calming presence. But what if it wasn't just a dream? I was busy turning down the car's music volume and didn't catch what Harry said. By the time I wanted to ask him, we'd pulled into the underground garage. Under the flickering night lights, Harry took my hand. Karina, what I meant by timing was forever. I finally understood. He was answering a question I asked that night. Harry's words lingered in my mind for days. I didn't respond. Adults are good at pretending nothing happened, so we went back to normal the next day. A few days later, Harry said he wanted to take me to a cafe to meet someone. Who? Gloria. Is it too late to make a run for it? No dodging, it's important for our marriage happiness. I should have introduced you earlier, but she was visiting her grandma when we got back, and just returned today. Face-to-face meetings make me super nervous. We walked into the cafe and saw a guy and a girl. Even from behind, my eyes were drawn to them. Harry pinched my back and helplessly reminded me, wipe the drool. Gloria, and her boyfriend. Harry, isn't my boyfriend more handsome than you? I worked hard to get him. Gloria was super friendly and laid back. This wasn't what I expected at all. Gloria was as rumored, pretty but with a silly charm, none of that spoiled arrogance. Her eyes sparkled as she gazed lovingly at her boyfriend, who clearly adored her too. What a perfect pair. And so good-looking. Harry seemed to know what I was thinking, and gave me a sharp look. Such a fierce look. Catch Harry when he's slightly unhappy, and I'm quick to say something sweet, to me, darling, you're the most handsome. His expression finally softened a bit. Keep it low-key. The couple across from us chuckled in sync. So embarrassing. Karina, you're really pretty. Big deer eyes full of life. Harry is lucky. Gloria held my hand, showering me with compliments from head to toe. I thought I was chatty, but clearly, there's always someone chattier. Harry watched me with a calm smile, slightly amused. Gloria handed over a wedding gift. It was substantial. I was stunned. This is not how I imagined it. Harry accepted it while I was still in shock. Thanks a lot. You're younger than me, so I'll call you Karina if that's okay. You've been a mystery till now, and finally, we meet. I heard you're 6 years younger than Harry. How'd you meet him? Can you stand his temper? Hey, is married life boring? Harry's temper? It seems gentle. I thought it over. Quietly, Mr. John interjected, breaking Gloria's rapid fire of questions gently. Easy there, how can she answer all that? Don't scare her off. Sorry, I got excited. The couples were showing off their love, and Harry, still silent, reached over and intertwined our fingers. Just guys being competitive. Gloria, I invited you here for a reason today. It's business. Oh right, business. Karina, my bad. I caused some trouble for you before. Gloria glanced at the refined Mr. John next to her, jokingly blaming him. I was trying to make him jealous, so Harry helped spread some rumors. The media spun it a bit wildly. B-City media isn't very big. Given Harry and I went to the same high school and are about the same age, they often use that as gossip fodder. We kind of grew up together, and I consider Harry a sister, nothing more. Sister? Harry is like that little worm, straight up, I'm straightforward, don't overthink it. Oh. All our buddies can't handle his temper, you know? When we found out he got married, we were all shocked, betting if it was a prank. No wonder when he threw the divorce papers, Harry was watching like it was a show, ignoring me. I guess I was overthinking it. I pointed at Harry. Why didn't you clear things up earlier? It's all your fault. He said innocently, it was all just in your head. You never showed anything, I thought you understood me. If you hadn't come to my office that day, I wouldn't have known you got the wrong idea. How would I know if you don't say it? Hold on, I never seriously asked him. Alright, I was at fault too. Karina, don't overthink it, okay? Harry is really clean. Back in school, sure, girls liked him, but he's never had any relationships. He bragged to us many times, saying you'd wait up with the lights on for him, press his temples when he's drunk and had a headache, cook for him. He really cares about you. Really? Harry would share our daily life with his friends. I looked suspiciously at Harry. He averted his eyes, avoiding my gaze deliberately. Seems like it's true. Once things got straightened out, Gloria and Mr. John left hand in hand. My curiosity piqued. Hey, mind if I ask for details? They grew up together, fell for each other. I was just their catalyst. I noted down this inspiration in my memo. Harry, sitting next to me, said, everything's clear. Gloria and I have nothing between us, don't worry. I've always been faithful to you. No more talk of divorce, okay? Alright, whatever you say. Good, let's focus on living our life well. Uh-huh. On the way back, as the assistant drove, I started to process the conversation. What did he just say? Faithful? To me. I looked at Harry sitting calmly by my side. Did he mean what I think he meant? Harry, unfazed, turned around and calmly said to me, keeping promises is a great virtue of the Chinese people. He wasn't joking. Slow to react, I asked, Harry, do you really mention me a lot to your friends? Emicham. Harry nodded without hesitation. I kept a composed face, but inside, I was thrilled, like a burst of colorful fireworks. The unspoken tension between Harry and me suddenly found its place. My heart felt at ease. When you mentioned forever, did you mean it? Emicham. Another firm reply. Inside, a small part of me was celebrating. I felt a little dizzy from excitement. I gathered my thoughts and was about to ask him something, but then Candy called urgently. Couldn't have been more perfectly timed. Sorry. Candy, with her loud voice, exclaimed, unbelievable, I'm really shook. Karina, I just saw a woman at the mall downtown. She looks exactly like you, around your age, even about the same height and build. I almost said hi, but then saw a man I didn't know next to her and realized it was a doppelganger. Can you believe how alike? My mood sank rapidly. Karina, are you there? I spoke quietly, yeah, listening. That's quite the coincidence. No one else looks exactly like me, except my twin sister, Linda. What happened? Who was calling? Harry asked with concern. And nothing. I didn't realize how tightly I was gripping my phone, my fingers turning white. Being abandoned by my birth parents is my deepest wound. I was too young to remember when it happened, so I've never known the whole story. Grandpa only told me everything on his deathbed, that he adopted me as an abandoned child. My birth parents are alive, I have siblings. Grandpa found me on the street, checked the surveillance footage, and saw my parents deliberately leaving me. Out of pity, and since his only son died without heirs, he took me in and adopted me, gave me the best life he could. Later, he tried to reach my biological parents, but they moved abroad overnight, leaving no trace. Coincidentally, Grandpa's surname was the same as mine. They treated me well, and gave me everything, changing my name to Karina. The last time I searched for Linda was after learning about my origins. By then, her family was thriving in City C, wealthy and famous. Linda was known as the neighborhood's most eligible bachelorette. Oh, they also had a son, Leo, just a year younger than me. In the news, a family photo, so happy and perfect. If they hadn't abandoned me, I might have been part of that, not feeling so insecure about money or with Harry. I thought I would never see them. Yet, life had a way of circling back. Harry, can I sleep in your arms for a bit? He didn't ask questions. He opened his arms, motioning for me to come over. I curled into him, burying myself in his chest. The more I tried not to think about it, the deeper memories of being bullied for having no parents surfaced, layer by layer, making my feelings complex. Don't worry, I'm here. Sleep. Harry gently patted my back. I couldn't hold back my emotions, snuggling into Harry's arms, wiping away tears, forcing my eyes shut, trying not to dwell on the chaos in my mind. That day, I clung to Harry more than usual. Suddenly it felt like there was no one else but him to rely on. I held on to his sleeve. Harry, why aren't you asking me why that call affected me so much? I won't force you to talk about things you don't want to. Come on, let's rest. I'll stay home with you today. I nodded, thinking it over, then voiced my thoughts. I want you to spend the day with me, would you? Because I didn't want to be alone, of course. Feeling bold, I wrapped my arms around his waist. I wasn't that tired, but lying down next to Harry and holding him, I felt exhaustion sweep over me. Harry, will you abandon me? I asked, my voice barely audible, my eyelids heavy and my mind drifting. I felt a warm hand on my waist. It was Harry, holding me close. I had a dream, and this time, I was the main character. It was back in a city during middle school, those days when I got picked on for not having parents and teachers look down on me. "Ah, poor thing, no mom and dad, huh?" they'd say. "Everybody's got parents except you, maybe it's your fault. My mom won't let me play with orphans." "Karina, why are you hitting people? Didn't your parents teach you better? Bring your parents to the office. Some things are deeply rooted in you." Lost in the darkness, the more I struggled, the deeper I sank, trapped in the dream. "Karina, don't be scared, I'm right here." The white fog began to clear, and suddenly I was at Jing'an Temple, with a young Harry waving at me from the gate. The sun was shining just right, and the gloom faded away. The young Harry smiled and took my hand. "I'll take you home. Turns out, the things you fear the most are the ones that chase after you." Just a week after hearing about Linda, overwhelming and annoying stuff came crashing in. Selena asked me out for some afternoon tea and brought along 2 newspapers. "What's this?" I took them, and the bold headline caught my eye. "A sparrow turns into a phoenix." All along it was a phoenix in disguise. "Look. Orphan to heiress transformation. Check it out, Karina is the long-lost daughter of a city tycoon." My photo was awkwardly inserted into a family photo of 4. I stared at it, crumpling the sides of the paper in my grip. Selena, who knows my story pretty well, said, "Your birth parents somehow found out about you, and now the media in C City and B City knows that Harry's wife Karina is the long-lost daughter from C City. The news is going wild, with the company that was nearly bankrupt seeing its stock surge overnight thanks to Harry. Oh, and your parents even did an interview, crying and apologizing as they try to get you back. I have nothing to do with them." I put the paper down and gulped a glass of cold water from the table. My stomach and heart felt chilly. Here's another one from a gossip magazine. "Yesterday, at B City's shopping street, your sister was caught making out with her fiancé. She looks almost identical to you, and when this hit the media, they pointed fingers at you, sparking rumors about Harry's marriage falling apart, accusations flying around about infidelity. It's so detailed that if I weren't the person involved, I'd probably believe it. Do you think this is a coincidence? Selena's no fool, and neither am I. If they truly wanted their daughter back, why not reach out directly instead of using the media to spread the word? It's obvious what they're after. There aren't many coincidences in this world. I'm not concerned about them, only about Harry, who's been dragged into this mess. Is Harry affected? Honestly, this counts as bad press. I have no desire to get tangled up with my birth parents again. Unexpectedly, they managed to track me down and use the media to stage this whole reunion thing, even involving Harry. They're not interested in me as their daughter, but more in my connection with Harry. Selena seemed intrigued by something else. Do you think Harry might believe it's you? He won't. Selena challenged me, really? Are you that sure? I trust my husband. I hurriedly said goodbye, carrying the 2 newspapers as I hopped into a cab home. For the first time, my gossip had overshadowed Harry's in the local news. After getting out of the cab, I saw Harry waiting for me at the company entrance. He seemed like he'd been waiting for quite a while. Without saying much, he smiled and pulled me into a hug. The embrace was warm and familiar. Living together for so long, I was used to how he felt. There were plenty of people coming and going, and I heard whispers, but Harry didn't mind. He leaned down and asked, "You didn't bring a contract this time, did you?" I caught his teasing tone and realized he wasn't fazed by the news. I awkwardly rubbed my nose. "Didn't we agree not to mention that?" Harry chuckled softly. "Then I'm safe to talk to you now. Come on, let's go upstairs." Harry disregarded the buzzing gossip and led me to the top floor. In the elevator, I tugged at his sleeve and blurted out, "Harry, would you abandon me?" Instantly realizing how awkward that sounded, I hurriedly added, "You didn't hear that, I was just babbling." Harry clearly heard me, and instead of letting it go, he threw the question back. What about you? Would you leave me, Karina? After all the confusion and clearing up, some things didn't need saying. Harry, I'm afraid I'm the only one caught up in this game, I admitted, mustering courage. That day, in the car, I wanted to ask if you were. I am. Harry promptly answered, like a stone dropped in a pond, causing ripples. The words were out, and there was no taking them back. I've had feelings for you all along, loving you as my true wife, not just pretending. The unspoken tension between us was resolved by his answer. Karina, I'm human too. Living with you daily, how could I not have feelings for you? Little moments from our past clearly showed Harry's affection for me. But bound by a paper contract, with Gloria and his past interfering, and my own fears of abandonment, I dismissed everything genuine as just for show. I forgot the saying, we're not made of stone, who doesn't have feelings? Harry and I, both actors, got caught up in the play's emotions. The elevator stopped at the top floor, and Harry took me to his office. He barely glanced at the newspapers in my hand before setting them aside, saying, your sister is nowhere near as good as you. He could tell, of course. Joy swept through me. I wanted more than just a simple answer from him. I longed to dig deeper. Clinging to his arm, I said, we look so much alike, even Candy couldn't tell us apart. How did you figure it out? You might look alike, but your eyes are different. To me, you're two distinct people. It's not hard to tell. I thought you might suspect I was cheating, since I always joke about needing 7 men. We're just messing around. Harry pinched my cheek and laughed. We're together every day. I'm confident my charm will elevate your taste. I smiled, narcissist. He accepted it, laughing, not denying it. Joking aside, I got serious. I'm sorry for the personal stuff affecting you and the company. I overheard some unpleasant comments about you. I'm really sorry. You feeling sorry for me? Harry, always unserious, tried to brush off the topic, grinning cheekily. I pinched his face in return. No deflecting, listen to me. When I was 5, my biological parents abandoned me in City A. They've recently discovered my identity and know I married you, so they publicly announced it, without consent, to gain attention and salvage their declining company by leeching off your fame. I'm truly sorry for the trouble. Harry gently blew my bangs aside and held my cheek softly. Karina, they're them, and you're you. It's not your responsibility. If there's blame, it's mine for not covering all my bases. It allowed them to find you. What do you mean? Seeing my confusion, Harry pulled me closer to his chest, explaining slowly. Karina, the whole contractual marriage was just a cover. What I wanted was for you to marry me, to be my wife. I know your background and understand your desire not to get entangled with them. So I've chosen to respect your wishes, not prying or asking much, protecting you quietly. Karina, remember, you haven't done anything wrong. No matter what happens, I'll always be by your side. I was surprised Harry felt this way. No wonder, after knowing him only a week, he proposed a contract marriage. So, knowing me so well post-wedding, being aware of my likes and dislikes, it was all pre-planned by you? No, I've just always cherished it in my heart. I didn't expect that I'd actually meet you in this lifetime. Although some things have changed, fortunately, we still met. I was slightly bewildered, but Harry hugged me tighter, continuing. This year, you've been affectionate at times and distant at others. I couldn't quite gauge your thoughts, so I didn't dare make any rash moves. If it weren't for Gloria's misunderstanding, how could I have known you were jealous for a year? This mishap helped confirm your feelings for me. Karina, we've always liked each other, haven't we? I nodded earnestly, effectively confessing my feelings in turn. Exactly. That's why I can't stand them shamelessly using you. I don't want you worrying over their ugly faces either. Their sudden appearance caused a huge stir but also greatly facilitated Harry and I to have an honest conversation. While I harbored resentment towards them, I couldn't deny my desire for familial love and care. In middle school, I was often mocked for being parentless, even isolated. Upon learning my background, I was excited and thought about finding my parents. But that notion disappeared once I saw their family photo. Unexpectedly, years later, they came to find me instead. They even widely publicized through media, aiming to leverage me to indirectly benefit from Harry. If I say I don't want to see them, would you think I'm cold-blooded? I'll support however you choose to handle this. I won't think you should be any other way. Just make sure not to wrong yourself when deciding. You're the one I cherish dearly. Cheesy. Though I feigned disdain, deep down, I was genuinely happy. Harry's words were like a warming fire in winter, gently thawing my heart. His every word made sense, his every sentence resonated with me, showing utmost respect. I must have accumulated great merit in a past life to have met him. The unrest in me faded away. Smiling, I said, "You're underestimating me. I'm not the type to shortchange myself." That's right. That day, we sat in the small office, talking a lot, holding each other close. Outside was pitch black, yet we continued chatting eagerly. At the peak of emotion, we kissed in the light, whispering sweet and touching words, making it hard for either to resist. We wouldn't give up on each other. I decided to meet them. Harry arranged the time and venue, his family's Huating Hotel. Reflecting later, it felt like watching a play. Harry held my hand, opening the door. There they were. 5 familiar yet strange faces flooded my vision. The first person I saw was my mom. With a refined and well-maintained appearance, she exuded wealth. When our eyes met, a blood connection gave my heart a slight jolt. Turns out, I look like my mom. Harry held my hand the entire time, giving me immense courage. "Karina, my daughter, I've been searching for you for so long. Heaven has blessed us to reunite. Karina, do you know how I've endured all these years?" What should have been a touching moment was rendered ridiculous by her exaggerated acting and emotionless shouting. I instinctively recoiled, leaning into Harry's embrace. He shielded me. "Please, madam, have some decorum. You're frightening my wife." Oh, I got a bit emotional. It's not Karina's fault for being startled. She dabbed non-existent tears with a tissue and waved, "Linda, Leo, come over. This is your sister." A tall and short sibling pair stood on either side. "Karina, it's been so many years. I didn't expect you to marry such a great guy. You've really honored our family. Well done, well done. Why are you both standing there clueless? Hurry up and call him brother-in-law." Her words made me uncomfortable. Harry gently patted the back of my hand, calming me down quite a bit. She nudged the 2 kids on either side of her. Dad kept quiet, just standing by without a word. I checked, and found out Leo is a year younger than me. He was born the year after I was abandoned. He's a bit taller than Harry but lacks the charisma. He gives off a rogue vibe and speaks in a low-class manner. I don't want to. I only have one sister, I don't want someone else fighting over my inheritance. What nonsense are you spouting, kid? Mom's smile turned stiff, forced into a fake grin. She didn't expect her own son to embarrass her in public. Pfft, not like I'm eager to be your sibling either. My brother doesn't understand, please don't mind him, sister and brother-in-law. Sister, don't we look so much alike? Saying that, Linda leaned closer, her strong perfume hit my nose hard, nearly overwhelming me. Linda's sweet, charming voice and her overly friendly behavior made me uneasy. She was okay in photos, but seeing and hearing her in person triggered this inexplicable resistance in me, both mentally and physically. The dislike and discomfort were unreasonable, yet deeply felt, almost as if they once truly existed. Maybe it's just a bad vibe. While I felt uneasy about Linda, Harry had his eyes locked on the man next to her, Nathan, since we walked in. Do you know each other? Why are you staring at him? Harry replied nonchalantly, just doesn't feel right. Nathan, Linda's fiancé, was polite and courteous since we arrived, keeping a low profile. Sis, this is my fiancé, Nathan. Hello. Nathan spoke, and a chilling sensation passed through me. I instinctively clutched Harry's hand. This fiancé's gaze seemed gentle, but upon closer look, there was something sharp and strange, hard for me to interpret. "Hello." I nodded slightly, and Harry stepped in front of me, lightly brushing Nathan's fingers away. I hoped to finish the meal in peace, but that turned out to be a mere fantasy. "Karina, now that we've reunited, we're all family, right? Karina, since your in-laws are so powerful in business, shouldn't you help our family out? And Linda just quit her job. Hasn't found a new one yet. Maybe Harry could help arrange something for her?" I did my research, and that PR department director position you have sounds perfect for Linda. "Oh, Harry, dear, I know you come from a prestigious family, so surely you understand. Our family gave away a daughter, that's no small deal. Weddings are joyous, and traditional dowries, well, you should be able to handle that, right? These necessities can't be omitted." Their demands were non-stop, leaving me no room to breathe. Dad sat high up, awaiting my response. Linda occasionally tossed meaningful glances at Harry, with intent crystal clear. Mom reveled in her delusions, parading her bourgeois nature, with everything perfectly planned out. Leo paid no mind, engrossed in his mobile game, unleashing profanities without regard. Only Nathan acted somewhat normal, head down, eating, not joining the conversation. Every person, with their distinct faces, displayed in full view. I felt both furious and ashamed. This was the real face of my biological parents. Seeing I kept silent, Mom continued her barrage of demands. I listened to each word until I slammed my chopsticks down on the table, finally silencing the noise. Mom, sitting closest, jolted in surprise. "Oh, Karina, what are you doing? You scared Mom. So thoughtless. What kind of mom are you?" I raised my voice. "Before coming today, I thought no matter how much I hate that you abandoned me, you at least brought me into this world, and I should be grateful for that. But after coming here, I only feel you're not worth my energy. Please, ask yourselves honestly, have you truly treated me as your daughter? Or just a bargaining chip and a means to gain benefits? Karina. What nonsense are you saying? How dare you talk to your parents like that?" Dad slammed the table in anger, pointing at me. His attitude only amused me. Were we really separated by accident back then? Can you swear it wasn't deliberate? Do you think street cameras are dead? How much of your love story the media bought is true, you know very well. If I hadn't married Harry, would you have so loudly publicized my background for the world to see? Obviously, it's about using Harry as a stepping stone. Do you think I'm dumb? Emotions cracked open, the pent-up rage burst out. There's no connection between us. You don't have me as a daughter, and I don't have you as parents. After today, we're strangers. We won't cross paths again. Karina, how heartless can you be? Your parents gave you life, and you won't even help with something this trivial. Linda stood up, grabbing my arm, tearing off her sweet and gentle facade. Nathan tried to pull her back, but she still broke free. Get off me, you useless thing, worthless. Karina, don't think marrying into wealth makes you a phoenix from a sparrow. You're still trash from the countryside. If Mom and Dad recognized you, that's giving you face, you're just being ungrateful. At that moment, I felt immensely grateful that I hadn't grown up in such a family. Harry was visibly angry by now. If you say one more offensive word, I won't hesitate to sue you for verbal assault on my wife. Harry, save your flirting looks for someone else, he's not interested. I stepped in front of Harry, delivered my words, and walked out of the room in high heels. I'll handle this with our company's PR. My wife's thoughts are clear, and I'll back her all the way. Enjoy the rest of your meal. The noise and insults were blocked behind the door. I snuggled into Harry's arms, not wanting to move. Was I overreacting earlier? Can we handle the media? Am I dragging you down? If you want to cry, just do it. Don't hold back. Harry always knows how to pierce right through my facade. I'm so angry. I didn't expect them to be super nice, but I never thought they'd be so calculating. I held my breath, tears spilling over until I was sobbing uncontrollably in Harry's arms, unable to say a single coherent sentence. I understand. Don't cry anymore. Through blurry tears, I washed my face, realizing that Harry, you're all I have now. I'll always be here for you. I wiped my tears and nodded, not feeling guilty about messing up his coat. Sniffling, I remembered something important. Harry, don't pay for them. Make them cover their own expenses. They knew Harry was treating, so they picked all the expensive stuff. No way I'm letting them take advantage of him for free. Alright, I'll let the manager know. Okay. I nodded heavily with a stuffed-up nose. We got a call from Grandpa halfway back and returned to the family home. He already knew the news. You've been through so much, child. Grandpa looked at me with deep concern, calling them a disgrace. I'd never seen him so mad. He even told Harry to give them a good lesson. I thought you'd urge me to prioritize family, Grandpa, but you. Grandpa, like Harry, sticks by family, not principles. You're our family. Who else would we support if not you? Facing each other in silence, tears streamed down. I'm so grateful to have Harry and Grandpa, they're my real family. The dinner ended badly, and since they didn't get the benefits they expected, they went wild, trashing my reputation in the media as a family disgrace. Linda went especially low, even faking intimate photos of me and her fiancé Nathan, claiming I stole her boyfriend, casting all sorts of baseless accusations at me. I'd had enough and decided to cut ties with them completely. To clear up matters between Harry, them, and me, I chose not to let Harry handle it alone. Instead, I found a reporter from our company and told them the whole story. In front of the camera, I calmly recounted everything, as if it was someone else's story. The interview left me exhausted. Reliving those memories gave me the courage to finally say goodbye to the past. As I stood up, I saw Harry at the door, smiling and waving, mirroring a scene from my dreams. Turns out, my grand plan to hide everything, he knew all along. That was the first time I realized how incredible it feels to have someone silently supporting you. I took the roses he'd hidden behind his back and jumped into his arms. You're here. Harry ruffled my hair. Tired? A little. Then let me take you home. Okay. We looked into each other's eyes, seeing love reflected back. That connection was all we needed. Before the new year, with no snow yet, Harry kept his promise and took me to Jing'an Temple. Unfortunately, the monk who had once helped Harry, Abbot Pooh, was traveling and not at the temple. After we prayed at the main hall, I leaned close to Harry. Honey, how did Abbot Pooh cure you back then? I asked Grandpa, but he didn't know. The scriptures say, don't talk about it. Come, let's check out the twin ponds behind the temple. The twin ponds, the left for wishes, the right for fulfilled ones, nestled among bamboo. A splash of green, with springs bubbling into the pools. Each pond has red wish ribbons tied around poles and a brush station nearby. The visual clash of green and red on the left's wish ribbons far outnumbered the right's fulfillment ribbons. Karina, come here. I'm usually a skeptic, but Harry believes in this stuff, so I joined him in writing a wish. I kept it down to earth, sneaking in a little inside joke. For Harry to make lots of money, so I can hold him and make lots of money too. Finally found a space to tie it on. Nearby, some of the older red ribbons had faded writings, but I managed to read them. No connection, always missing out. Love runs deep, journey to the afterlife together. A lifetime of regret, just wishing for the next one. The ending signature was too faded to recognize but seemed to be 3 characters. For the next life. Suddenly, without warning, tears fell, my heart aching. I didn't know why, wiped my tears, and looked the other way. Harry was at the wish fulfillment pool, writing earnestly. I sneaked up behind him to see what he was writing. All flowery, typical of him. Love everlasting, back to where it began. With sincerity, dreams come true. Harry. Curiously, I asked, honey, what's your wish? Guess. Harry said mysteriously, picking a noticeable spot to tie it. Back home, I pestered him forever. Finally, he cradled me by a little Buddha statue, looking serious. Karina, that dream you mentioned, it was actually your past life. You, who jumped, that was you back then. I was at a loss, because Harry isn't one to joke. Plus, everything in the dream felt real, the emotions I felt facing Nathan and them. Harry's deep understanding, he said you lived with them in your past life. You were Linda's sister, Nathan's fiancée, and a confident and radiant young lady. Past life Karina only had eyes for Nathan, not seeing any other man. So you married him right after graduation. Not long after, you were abandoned by family and betrayed by love, which drove you to end it all. As for who I was in your past life, you may not remember much. Because of a single meal, I remembered you. But I'm just a nobody, not worthy of someone as noble as you. So, I could only watch over you from afar. I saw them deceive and hurt you, but I couldn't do anything to help. In the end, it drove you to take your own life. Those memories came flooding back during my junior year when I got sick. After that, I had nightmares every night. Grandpa took me to see the kind temple abbot, who enlightened me with his wisdom. Since fate let me remember, it must have its plan. So I started praying for us to meet again. There's no denying the twists and turns between lifetimes were many. You had been abandoned, left with no news. It wasn't until I saw you at a city university that I realized the abbot wasn't lying. At that moment, I had just one thought, this time, I have to marry you and protect you before it's too late. The story is actually quite long, but Harry kept it brief. He left out a lot of details. I know he doesn't want to talk about it and doesn't want to upset me with those memories either. So, the boy who jumped with me back then, that was you, right? I touched his face with tenderness. Even though I'd only dreamt of him once, the memory was especially vivid. Harry didn't reply, but his silence told me everything. You were too foolish. Tears fell onto my hands, warm against my skin. Harry looked at me and shook his head. Not foolish. The regrets of the past life led to the fulfillment of this one. I'm really happy.